Okay, now, Genesis chapter 6. This is about the flood that happened during Noah's time. And I will read these chapters and then I'm going to go over my notes, what all of this is a type of, like in the end times. Okay, so here we go, chapter 6. Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. Now, this sons of God isn't like it's fallen angels, okay, is what this comes to. And there's more will be revealed. Anyway, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. So this is where the giants came from. It was a mix between that and humanity. So they were not human, you know what I mean? And it was like the devil's plan to corrupt the human race. And this happens a lot of times throughout human history. This is part of the reason here why the flood had to come, because, I know there were giants when they entered the land of Israel, but at least most of them got taken care of. And they say the dinosaurs were gone with that as well. So anyway, but there was so much wickedness, it had to happen anyway. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. So then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping thing and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Another way this is translated is favor. So either way it works, but it's both, So everybody else was wicked except for Noah. So, it's sad. It is. It's just sad. But okay, 9. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God, and Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. So God looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. You shall make a window for the ark, and you shall finish it to a cubit from above, and set the door of the ark in its side. You shall make it with lower, second, and third decks. And behold, I myself am bringing flood waters on the earth to destroy from under heaven all flesh in which is the breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall go into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of the birds after their kind, of animals after their kind, and of every creeping thing of the earth after its kind. 2 of every kind will come to you to keep them alive. Okay, I'm going to finish that in a minute. I just want to say here we see several things. For one thing, the ark is also a type of Christ, because it's like if you're not in the ark, you're going to perish. And everybody else was under the wrath and they got destroyed, but those in the ark were preserved. So there's that part. And then the wood could be interesting too. And then the dimensions, I didn't really look for symbolism. There might be, but the fact that there's only one door and Jesus is the one door to salvation, that's interesting. 3 decks, 3 levels might be interesting too. There's the 3rd heaven, so maybe, Anyway, another interesting thing about the ark is that they have found the remnants of the ark. It's over there where it says it landed. So there's all that history and science related to that, and that's something interesting if you want to go and look up videos and do internet research on that. They have all kinds of information about that, so it's interesting if you want to find out more about that. But yeah, for everything in the Bible there is archaeological evidence. It's all historical fact, and that's it. Another thing here, well, let me get to that after I read this. Okay, so he tells them what's going to happen with the flood. The earth, after its kind, I read this, 2 of every kind will come to you to keep them alive. So like the animals knew to go there. 1 of each, male and female, so they can, after they come out, they can reproduce again. And then that's why they're given meat to eat later, because that's all there was. But I'll get to that. Anyway, yeah, they come. And it's funny, animals know stuff. Like if there's going to be an earthquake or some kind of tsunami or, flood, they go to higher ground and they know stuff before it happens, like an earthquake or something, because they're somehow more connected to nature. So it's interesting, like if a dog starts barking out of nowhere, there's a reason, even if there's no prowler. So it is true. It's interesting. Like, you notice that stuff. They do these things, and it's kind of neat. Anyway, and you shall take for yourself of all food that is eaten, and so like fruits, vegetables, and you shall gather it to yourself, and it shall be food for you and for them. This way they have the seeds, which would be out there too, but it helps to have it, and they can plant this when they get out. Thus Noah did according to all that God commanded him, so he did. Okay, the great flood. I'm going to read all this first, and then I'm going to mention something important too. Okay. Here we go. So 7 and 8. Yeah, and 9. This is all related, so I'm going to go through here. 10 and 7. Then the Lord said to Noah, "Come into the ark, you and all your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. You shall take with you 7 each of every clean animal, a male and his female, 2 each of animals that are unclean, a male and his female, also 7 each of birds of the air, male and female, to keep the species alive on the face of all the earth. For after 7 more days I will cause it to rain on the earth the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And 40 is a biblical number too. And I will destroy from the face of the earth all living things that I have made. And Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. You also have to consider they lived longer, but they aged more slowly in this way, So how that worked out, I don't know, but, it's not like they were old men for 800 years or something, Okay, so Noah, with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood, of clean animals, of animals that are unclean, of birds, and of everything that creeps on the earth. 2 by 2 they went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. Okay, so there are 2 things that happened here. We have rain, but we also have fountains of the great deep. Okay, there is water under the ground, there's springs, there's water under the earth, and this all came up as well. And there's a lot of science behind this here, like if the earth is in danger, this kind of stuff happens. Okay, it's all about water and cloud cover, and it's like a buffer, and there's so much about meteorology that ties into this, but that's another science research project you can do if you're interested, but I know it's connected and it's really interesting. Anyway, and the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On the very same day, Noah and Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons with them entered the ark, they and every beast after its kind, all cattle after their kind, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into the ark to Noah 2 by 2 of all flesh, in which is the breath of life. So those that entered, male and female of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. See, so God closed the door. And it's kind of interesting with this pitch thing, like maybe that kind of locked them in safely. How do you, I don't know. I mean, they must have had a handle on the inside, but it's kind of neat that God shut them in. So it's another type, like he's the shepherd and does these things. Okay, so they went in the 7 days is interesting, I think of the tribulation, 7 years. And I'll get to the end time notes, but let's first do this. Now, the flood was on the earth 40 days. The waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly on the earth, and all the high hills under the whole heaven were covered. The waters prevailed 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. And All flesh died that moved on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every man. That was the point. All in whose nostrils was the breath of the spirit of life. All that was on the dry land died. So he destroyed all living things which were on the face of the ground, both man and cattle, creeping thing, and bird of the air. They were destroyed from the earth. Only Noah and those who were with him in the ark remained alive. And the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. Okay, then 8. Then God remembered Noah, not that he forgot him, but that's how the language just is what it is, you know. Then God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the animals that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were also stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters receded continually from the earth. At the end of the 150 days, the waters decreased. Then the ark rested in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat, okay? And that's the place. So, and the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. So it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. Then he sent out a raven which kept going to and fro until the waters had dried up from the earth. He also sent out from himself a dove to see if the waters had receded from the face of the ground. But the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot, and she returned into the ark to him, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her, and drew her into the ark to himself. And he waited yet another 7 days, and again he sent the dove out from the ark. Then the dove came to him in the evening, and behold, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in her mouth. And Noah knew that the waters had receded from the earth. So he waited yet another 7 days, and sent out the dove, which did not return again to him any more. Now it's interesting too that this turns out is a symbol of peace, the dove and the olive branch, and that's like a symbol of peace. And the fact that this is supposed to be, when he comes out of the ark, this is like symbolizing the time of the millennium, which will be a time of peace. And I'll get to that with my notes. I just want to mention that here. Okay. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, that the waters were dried up from the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked. And indeed the surface of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dried. Then God spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing of all flesh that is with you, birds and cattle and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, so that they may abound on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every animal, every creeping thing, every bird, and whatever creeps on the earth, according to their families, went out of the ark. Okay, now this part. Then Noah. Oh, and by the way, this symbol comes up all the time. Like there's some kind of a space. It's a cavity of some kind. It could be a cave. It could be a tomb. It could be a lion's den. It could be an ark. But there's this concept of they go in, they're in there, they survive something, and then they come out again. We see it with the crucifixion, the tomb, and the resurrection. We see it with Daniel in the lion's den. Here, this concept comes up all the time in the Bible, and I'll mention it each time, like that's an example of this. But baptism, water baptism is another one. You're there, you go under the water, and you come back up again, and you come out into new life. It's like a death and a renewal of life at the other end. And there's a great example of this that these things are symbolic of many things, but Peter mentioned that this was symbolic of water baptism. So there's that. Okay, now moving along. Then let me make sure I have that in here, because another thing this is symbolic of is, like I was saying with the millennium, like this is symbolic of the 144,000 in Revelation. Like they go into hiding, they come out again. Okay, and after that is the millennium. So it's symbolic of all that. And that's why, all of this represents that. Noah, that's what he represents, the family there. Okay, then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a soothing aroma. Then the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground for man's sake, although the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Nor will I again destroy every living thing as I have done. Okay, so, it's not by water ever again, but it's by fire next time. And that's where this thing comes, somewhere with the rainbow. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. Okay, 9. So God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth, on every bird of the air, on all that move on the earth, and on all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. So here's where the meat comes in. Okay, this is where they're given meat to eat. And notice he made a sacrifice earlier, which was an animal. So we have that whole concept here of the atonement and meat, in this case, to eat. I mean, there was not exactly a lot of vegetation after this, so they had the animals from the ark, they had to plant the seeds. I mean, that's kind of where this comes in. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs, but you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. So here's the beginning of this. It doesn't say anything about kosher animals yet, but it's just that part. Surely for your lifeblood I will demand a reckoning. From the hand of every beast I will require it, and from the hand of man, from the hand of every man's brother I will require the life of man. So, like, you kill somebody, you get the death penalty. That's the idea. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. And as for you, be fruitful and multiply, and bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply in it. Then God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, of all that goes out of the ark, every beast of the earth. Thus I establish my covenant with you. Never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood. Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Okay, so this is something he made. It's undefiled. It's been hijacked, but this was what God made, okay? And it's interesting that, rainbows are a mix of light and water. And then you get the color spectrum that comes out, and that's how you get that. So it's interesting because the whole element changed then. Like, they didn't have rain before this, and now they did. The water cycle was different. So it's all interesting that way. Yeah. And so things changed. They say like the atmosphere changed and the ozone layer. I mean, there's a lot, but anyway, things were different. That's why they didn't live as long either. So all of that. So the rainbow was symbolic for that, and that's what it was given for. Wait a minute here. Well, let me just read it again. Okay, and the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud. Well, okay, let me just go here. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. It shall be when I bring a cloud over the earth that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud, and that's what we see. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. The waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. The rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look on it to remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth. And God said to Noah, This is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth. Now it's interesting to notice that you got to remember, like, the flood came for a reason, right? Because of their wickedness. And it's almost interesting when you see certain groups of people who fly that banner of colors. It's almost, to me, like it seems like they're saying, well, you promised not to destroy us, anyway, so, like they can do whatever they want, and here, this was the covenant, like, we're not going to be destroyed, It's almost like there's something deeper spiritually going on there, and it's like, well, if you sin, you'll be destroyed. I mean, sooner or later, it's going to get you, one way or the other, If you don't repent, then you don't go to heaven, you go the other way, so it's all destruction, and it's not good news that way. I mean, the good news is salvation is available, and you have access to it. You need to go to Jesus to get that access, and then you can be saved from all of that. So that's it. But it's just interesting to see these things. Okay, now the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. I think this is where the Canaanites came from. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth was populated. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk. Now, he didn't know, I'm pretty sure. Maybe that was different too, then, I don't know. Anyway, and became uncovered in his tent. And so naked, okay. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So there's more in here about, nakedness, coverings, all that kind of thing. So this is also deeper than what it looks like. So Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. Then he said, so who knows what really happened here, but he was mad. There was a reason. So, okay. Then he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants, he shall be to his brethren. And he said, blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Okay, so I wanted to wait until this part, and I'll read this, and then that'll be it, and this wouldn't take long, but I just wanted to mention and the list, yeah. One thing I want to mention now is there is a lot of talk that's been creeping up. I'm going to need the whiteboard for this. It won't take long. More and more. This is something you can research on the internet and find out what's going on with this one, okay? There's this thing here. Let me make this smaller for a second. You may have heard this term, right? Okay, it sounds good. It will not be used for good, okay? Research this online. They've politically been involved with this. It would make your skin crawl to find out all the connections and all the things going on with this. But I just want to mention for the record, this is not in the Bible. Okay, if it's in the Bible, it's already accounted for anyway. If it's not, we toss it out. That's it. There's nothing in here mentioned that refers to anything like this. So guess what? We don't need it. There are some good things in there, okay? I'm not saying it's bad stuff. It's like, I forgot the details. You'll have to look it up. But like, of course, don't murder and whatever. But some of these, the whole point is they're going to be using this for persecution. And if you read specifically, I believe it's Revelation chapter 20, it mentions the type of martyrdom. This is leading to that, okay? So it's not going in a good direction. This is all fulfillment of end times coming into place. Most people don't know. They already have this stuff ready. You might have heard of this, you might not have. They make it sound good. I just want you to know it's not biblical as this, okay? It's not in there. There's no place where God says to Noah, here's some 7 rules, okay? Again, the thing sounds good, but it's going to lead to something else, okay? It's going to lead to this. That's what it's leading to. okay? I'm trying to be a little vague here, but that's the thing, okay? It's all lining up. We're in the time, okay? So just be very careful. That's what that's about. Ultimately, that's what it will be about. That's how they bring everything in. It sounds good. Oh, it sounds so good, Well, the apple, or not the apple, the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden sounded good too, didn't it? And look what happened. Was not good. Okay, now I'll do the notes and then I'll do chapter 10 and then I'm going to call it a day. So, types of end times events here. Okay, the one is good. I'll just move this a little. So, Noah and the flood, and I have those 3 chapters, Genesis 6, 7, and 8. So, we see this is where it's Noah's time and the end times and the connections here. So, earth was filled with perversion, violence, and corruption. At that time, check mark. Today, check mark, right? That's the idea. A faithful remnant was spared and allowed to repopulate. Aha. So Noah's family, check mark. The 144,000, check mark. That's what it represents. So, and again, it's into the millennium there and that whole peace thing. Okay, then God closed them in by shutting the door of the ark. There was only one door. Okay, well, that symbolizes salvation through Jesus. So that's always the case. After they entered, then the global judgment came and the whole earth was destroyed by, in that case, water. This case, it's like, it could be nuclear, there's fire, there's all the wrath that falls at the end, very end of the end times, like in Revelation, it talks about all that. So, here, they're in hiding, this group. Okay, that's what it represents. Okay, it's a different deal for the church. All right. Oh, I talked about that before. All right. It's 7 days, 7 years of the tribulation. So they're only in hiding for half of that time. So there are all kinds of things like this. All right. Life goes on as normal and partying all the way up until the end. Then sudden destruction comes. And that's what Jesus said the end times would be like. All right. Well, all went on partying as normal up until the day Noah went into the ark and judgment came and they were all swept away and destroyed like they didn't see it coming. It's going to be the same way in the end, right? All right. Sounds like the day they entered, the flood began, but a 7-day window of warning was given. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, earth, entire world destroyed by fire. That's what it says. So God closes the door and those who knock on it later are not let in. That's right. There's that parallel as well, with the virgins, the 10 virgins. Okay, ultimately there's the rapture, and this is that woman in hiding in that time with the woman of Revelation chapter 12. And I talked about that in Revelation, so I'm not getting into that whole thing again right now. Okay, now last and real quick, I'll do chapter 10. This is quick. This is just nations descended from Noah. Oops, and I'm not going to even read it all. Now, chapter 10. Now, this is a genealogy of the sons of Noah. So Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and sons were born to them after the flood. Okay, the sons of Japheth were, and then it lists all these and their sons, and they're saying, this is where the Europeans came from, like Gomer could be Germany, and you recognize a lot of these. They come up in the Bible again, some of these. From these, the coastland peoples of the Gentiles were separated into their lands, everyone according to his language, according to their families, into their nations. Okay, the sons of Ham were Cush, all these Canaan, all of these guys, and this guy, that guy, and the sons of Rama were, okay, Sheba and Dedan comes up in the Bible later as nations. So this is where these nations come from. Cush begot Nimrod. Now Nimrod is a character. All right, he began to be a mighty one on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. Okay, we're going to see this in the next chapter tomorrow. Erech, okay, all these people, in the land of Shinar, okay. From that land he went to Assyria and built Nineveh, so that's where that comes from. On this place between Nineveh and Kala, that is the principal city. Okay, here we have more begetting. Okay, this guy begot that guy. Okay, I'm just going to scan this really quick. It's just mentioning like land boundaries. Descendants and land boundaries, and where the nations came from. All right, and children were born also to Shem, the father of all the children of Eber. Oh, this part, okay. Oh. To Eber were born 2 sons. I'm going to move this. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided. I almost think that's when the continents were split, and this all happened by earthquakes, little by little, too. It's interesting. Part of these things happen little by little, like every day there's another thing, another crack, another growth, or another volcano gets higher or something, but sometimes it happened all at once, too. Anyway, so, and his brother's name was Joktan. Okay. And Jobab. See, that's the one I was saying. They're saying was the Job of the book Job. All these were the sons of Joktan. Okay. And their dwelling place was from this place as you go towards Sephar, the mountain of Reeds. These were the sons of Shem, according to their families, according to their languages, and their lands, according to their nations. Okay, these were the families of the sons of Noah, according to their generations see, almost there. Their nations. And from these, the nations were divided on the earth after the flood. So this is where it all spread out from. All the nations eventually, were from Noah. Now, tomorrow I'll do the Tower of Babel and all the symbolism there, and that's it. Typically, I won't read all the genealogies at all. It's just this was different, so, but otherwise I'm not going to, that's some of the stuff I'm not going to be reading through. You should read it all, but, I'm not going to go over those little details like that. I mean, things like that. So, okay, anyway, that's it for today. And I'll be back tomorrow and pick up in chapter 11, and you have a blessed rest of your day.